This presentation this morning with Jean Freeman and artist Wilf Perot. They'll be presenting on an artwork that is in our permanent collection called To My Valentine. It was a collaborative piece that both Jean and Wilf worked on together in 1997. I'll just introduce Jean and Wilf briefly. Jean Freeman's commitment to make-believe spans more than 50 years, delighting viewers, audiences, and readers alike. Jean is a professional speaker and actor, as well as a producer, writer, and storyteller. For 6 seasons, she played the mayor's grandmother in the popular Canadian TV comedy series Corner Gas. Wilf Perot was born in Albertville, Saskatchewan in 1947. While growing up in Saskatchewan, he received private art lessons from the great Saskatchewan painter Ernest Lindner. His formal training was done at the University of Saskatchewan, where he worked with Otto Rogers and Bill Abs. Wilf is a member of the Royal Canadian Academy of Arts and was awarded the Queen's Jubilee Medal in 2003. In 2014, the Mackenzie Art Gallery honored Wilf with a major retrospective exhibition of his work, which has toured the country.
Oh, well, what can I say? It's wonderful to be able to spend the morning with you. This is great. I'm so pleased. I want to start by saying that we're very grateful for the fact that we stand as guests on Treaty 4 territory. This is the traditional home of the Cree, the Saulteaux, Nakota, Lakota, and Dakota people, and the homeland of the Métis people. And we're very grateful for the fact that we're all here. 20 years ago, and we tossed a coin, actually, and Wilf decided that he would like to do the closing, to do the mop-up. So after I have delivered what I have to deliver, he's going to decide what he wants to expand on and what he'd rather avoid. So you to take notes, Wilf, and it's your turn coming. It's coming. 20 years ago, that was 1997, the Saskatchewan Writers Guild decided to have a fundraiser. They were doing an auction of original artworks to combine the talents and creativity of a provincial writer teamed with a visual artist. I think they were all visual artists. I don't think there were any musicians, although if the Writers Guild is going to do another fundraiser, that might be a very profitable area to go into, to team writers with musicians. Anyway, I was doubly lucky because for some strange reason at that point, they had a shortage of writers. It was difficult to imagine that at this point, but yes, they were short of writers. I was teamed with 2 artists. First of all, a dear friend, Elmer Brenner. He created a set of building blocks, and I wrote a story in paragraph form. And we put a paragraph on the side of each one of the building blocks, so depending on how you put them together, you got a different slightly story. And so that was fun. Brenda Baker bid on that creation. As far as I know, she still has it today. I keep wanting to buy it from her, but she, for some reason, won't sell it. She keeps it in her house. Anyway, my second pairing was with another artist who was and is also a dear friend of mine, Wilf Perot. Wilf's creation was in 3 parts. You can see that. I think we're ready to flip it. Oh, this you have to understand is a cooperative venture this morning. Normally, I would have the little thing that goes click, click, and I would change the pictures to go with what I'm saying. Unfortunately, that wasn't possible. So I have someone here I have somebody else reading and somebody clicking and people taking pictures. So please, bear with us, and if we happen to get out of sync, or if you can't hear me, raise your hand. Anyway, all right, so we've got established that Wilf and I have prepared the piece, and as mentioned earlier, it's on display over in the bookstore, and you can see the actual selection, or you can see the actual piece. My contribution to this beautiful piece was a love story. in found materials, letters, photos, postcards, and other memorabilia that a little girl, as she grew into womanhood, would keep in a special container, usually in her bedroom, in her dresser drawer, because they were precious to her. I have a feeling that a lot of you in this audience probably have a very similar box in your bedroom somewhere with things you keep. I describe it as a flight of fancy about things that are and things that might have been and things that can be if we only hang in there. The creation of To My Valentine was bought at the auction by Claire and Dawn Kramer. And in 2003, they donated it to the permanent collection of the Moose Jaw Art Gallery and Museum. And as I said earlier, you can see it in its entirety across the hall. But the problem with seeing it as it is that you can't see what's inside. And what I'm going to do over here is to explain to you the parts that you can't see, what they mean and how they got where they are. So, our story is about a little girl named Mary Matthews, who was born on Valentine's Day, February 14th, 1934. We pick up her story when she's 5, in kindergarten. There we are, right on cue. Her first cherished possession is a handmade heart valentine from a little boy who's going to become a very good friend in her life, a little boy named David Brooks. David's mother helped with this project. She addressed it to Mary. And then, of course, to Mary, the most important part was the other side. Happy birthday, with hugs and kisses from David. So that was the way this all began. Because Mary's birthday is on Valentine's Day, it gave me some good opportunities to search the card shops and my own files to find appropriate cards. So I did the best I could to create different handwriting for the different characters involved. If I was doing it today, I would have somebody else do the handwriting for me. On the other hand, I have to say I'm sort of glad it's all me, even if it's not absolutely perfect. So bear with me, cut me some slack, use your imagination. Now we have David's 14-year-old handwriting, I hope. Yes, we do. He's wishing happy 14th birthday to my best friend. I hope you will keep this friendship ring forever and ever to remind you of the good times we've had, even if you won't go steady. Hugs and kisses from David. Then we have, well, not all the preserved items are cards. There were other things there as well. This is a note that Mary received from her best friend Patty when they were in grade 8. It's been folded for a long time, so I'm going to read it to you. It starts off in Patty's handwriting. Mary, did you get the answer for number 7? Signed Patty. Happy face. 16, it's a fraction, so divide by 4. Signed Mary. Thanks, kid, this math is awful. Did you know that David Brooks really has a serious crush on you? Answer true. Don't be so silly. He's just a kid I've known ever since we were in kindergarten. He's totally immature, misspelled, 1 M. Not my type at all, true. Then how come he keeps your picture in his history text? Careful when you answer. You know how Mrs. Powley feels about passing notes in class. Sad face. And at the bottom, in grown-up adult handwriting, it says, Miss Matthews and Miss Parker, you will spend the next 6 recess periods in detention and turn in a correctly spelled version of this note. Grade 8 students should know at least that there are 2 M's in immature. Signed, Mrs. Powley. P.S. The answer to number 7 is not 16. Try again. Okay, so time passes. The 3 friends start high school, and 4 years later, they get ready to move on again. Now, you all probably remember sending or receiving wacky cards during the 40s and 50s. This is an example of one of those. Yes, it is. Oh, good. By this time, David and Mary are getting ready to graduate from high school. She's 17. This card from David tells us they're going to the prom together. and he's giving her red roses. And I think if we look inside, yes, we will find, there we are. She's kept some of the petals. You remember the wrist corsage that she wore? Well, that's where it's from. It's graduation time at Paint and Graph High School in Moose Jaw. And like everything else in this, I made that up too. It's not really, you can't find Paint and Graph anywhere. Anyway, from 1952, here is the high school graduating class. Yes. Patty wrote on the back, "Mayor, can you believe we're actually graduating? I see that David got as close to you as he could for the picture. Ha ha. You two will make a swell couple at the prom, even if you keep saying he's just a friend. Love, Patty." Well, after grad, this note from Patty tells us that she's moved to Regina to study nursing. David's going somewhere to university. And this is a photo that Patty enclosed. Yes, it's there at the top of the thing. On the back, she wrote, September 1952, David, on his way to university. Aren't you sorry you said you wouldn't go steady? Love, Patty. Well, the thing that propelled me to create this story in this particular way was that I had an Auntie Ruth when I was growing up. She was an avid pen pal. As a girl and a young woman, she exchanged letters and cards with people all around the world, and when she died, I inherited this. It's heavy, it's still full. It's a little suitcase that's full of cards and letters and memorabilia from my aunt's life. So, I felt it would be a shame not to do something with at least part of that. So I hunted through Aunt Ruth's collection. I found envelopes with stamps and postal marks that would match Mary's story, the date, the time, and sometimes the city. And then I created an appropriate envelope or other written item to go with the postmark. It was fun. I had a good time. But time has moved on, as we have too. And David must be at the University of Saskatchewan because this postcard is postmarked Saskatchewan, and it's 1956. He says it's his last semester coming up, and then he's off to an oil rig in Saudi Arabia, but he wants to stay in touch with her. Love, David. Well, a year later, in 1957, we find that Patty is sending love and congratulations to Mary, who's just announced her engagement to Phil. And we don't know much about Phil at this point, but he's obviously a great guy. He's a pharmacist, and the wedding date will be, when else? Valentine's Day. Well, in 1958, David has sent a card of congratulations by way of Patty. The note on the envelope says, "Please give this to Mary with my gift before the wedding." His card from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, gives 3 special reasons for celebrating: Valentine's Day, Mary's birthday, and her wedding day. David says, "Dearest Mary, I can't believe it's your wedding day, and it's not me who's going to be walking down the aisle beside you. All these years, ever since we were little kids, I somehow thought that someday friendship might blossom into romance, and you'd realize what sterling qualities I have. Just kidding. Seriously, you've always been my best friend and my dream girl, and I only wish the very best for you. I know Phil is a fine and honest man, and I'm sure he'll make you happy. If he doesn't, tell him he'll have me to answer to. Just kidding. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful life. I'll remember you always and love you forever. My love to both of you, from David." Well, we've now moved along to 1962. Patty is in Halifax by this time. As usual, she has news for us. She mentions her children, Ken and Jason, and says they'll be having a little sister or brother in September. And she asks how Mary's kids, Phil Jr. and Marcy, survived chickenpox. She sends congratulations on the new drugstore, and she sends news about David. I found this clipping in the paper and saved it to send you in case you haven't seen David's fiancée yet. Her name is Olivia Quimby. She's from a filthy rich Toronto family. They're going to live in South America after the wedding. Do you ever hear from David? We're down to just Christmas cards now, I'm afraid. Mustache, love as always, Patty. November 8th, 1963. David and Olivia send their thanks to Mary and Phil for the kind wishes and the electric frying pan. Well, thanks to Patty, by 1983, we know that Phil and Mary are celebrating their 25th anniversary. Patty now has 6 children. She asks about Phil's heart condition and says he'll need to be in good shape to march down the aisle with his and Mary's daughter, Marcy, at the wedding next summer. Well, by 1984, David is back in Toronto. He says in his Valentine's birthday card that he can't believe his little Mary can possibly be 50. But since he's just celebrated his 51st, he figures it must be true. He wishes her a second half century that's even happier, healthier, and more rewarding. He apologizes for sounding too stuffy for words, but figures he's getting old and dull. He thanks Mary for her kind and comforting letter on Olivia's death. She had suffered for so long that her passing was a mercy, but I'm not sure that makes it any easier for those who are left behind. He acknowledges that it's obviously been hard for Mary since Phil passed away. Patty sent me the notice from the paper, and I meant to write, but I just couldn't find the right words. It seems so unfair happening so soon after your 25th anniversary. Life is certainly strange, isn't it? I'm back in Toronto for good now, so let's stay in touch. So more time passes, 6 years this time. Patty again is the spreader of good news. It's now 1992, and our friends are called back together for a 40th anniversary reunion. Patty tells Mary that she must come. She's phoned David and got him to promise to come. He's well, he asked to be remembered to Mary. And by this time as well, we know that the girls are grandmothers, but still BFFs. Well, the reunion happened as we had hoped. From David's card to Mary afterward, this is a lovely Bruce Parsons card from the Saskatchewan Arts Board collection, by the way. He says, "Wow, what a great reunion. What a great time I had. I can't thank you enough for making my homecoming such a memorable event. I should have come home sooner. It almost seemed the last 40 years had never happened. I hope you meant what you said about getting together again. Soon. I'll phone this weekend just to see how you're doing and to find out if you ever found your other earring. I swear I didn't take it as a souvenir of a super, in caps underlined, super weekend. Love and kisses, David." Getting farther down in that big red heart, that big red container, this is a note from Patty, who's expressing herself as a lifelong BFF. "Dear Mary, you are such an idiot. What is there to think about? The man is handsome, eligible, and he's been in love with you ever since kindergarten. You're spending more time together than most married couples I know, and your kids adore him. You are not too old, as you so quaintly put it. Remember the old Frank Sinatra song about love being better the second time around? Go for it. Phone me and we'll talk some more. Love, Patty." Smiley face. Well, you knew we were moving inexorably toward the climax of this love story, didn't you? Well, here it is. Another Valentine's Day card, this time February 14th, 1996. As the card says, "Once in a lifetime, someone like you comes along." Hallmark just said Happy Valentine's Day, but David improved on that. "Dear Mary, this isn't a very romantic way to propose, but I just couldn't bear to see your face if the answer is no. You've always meant so much to me, and even more these last 5 years, since we found each other again. I can't bear the thought of being apart any longer. We've had fun on all our trips and holidays. You seem to be able to put up with all my bad habits, and I do love you. Will you marry me? All my love, David. If the answer is yes, phone and reverse the charges. I love you. Well, I think it's only fitting to give Patty the final say in this somewhat unconventional love story. She sent Mary and David this card for their wedding day, February 14th, 1997. The message says, wishing you all the joy a day can hold, all the luck a year can bring, all the nicest things there are, all the best of everything. Happy anniversary, happy Valentine's Day. At last, congratulations and all the best wishes in the world. You see, some stories do end happily ever after. Love and long life, Patty. And that is how our story to this point ends. Well, I want to thank the very fine people here at the gallery who cooperated and went out of their way to make this possible. I want to thank the people at Festival of Words for making this part of their offering this year, and also to the Writers Guild for getting the whole thing started. And that leads me to thank the lady who's been running back and forth here. Her name is Cindy Knorr. Cindy did the photographs for all of these items. We came over last week and went into the back where they laid out all the pieces for us, and Cindy took the shots. And so I, again, advise you to go and see the 3D version across the hall here. And I call Cindy my photographer extraordinaire and best friend forever from this side of the memory bank. And that, of course, brings me now to the pièce de résistance of this presentation. We have with us the gentleman who did the visual part of this, and I would call up Wilf Perot. Come, sir. Any place you want to be. Very good.
The three boxes are flopped. I used a process. I did a large piece for a Grey Cup in Regina for a big window display. And I used a color chart as my starting point. I cut helmets in half and I flopped them. And it's 7 feet high, about 7 feet high by about 18, 20 feet wide. And since I'm a visual artist, I use three colors basically. So here are the three colors, but from those three colors, I created this color chart, and I was mixing flocking to create this color chart. I had to buy flocking from New York. I think I was the biggest purchaser of flocking in Canada at that time. It was a fun thing to do. I was flocking everything. I'd flock horses, bulls, just to change the whole thing. Rather than what it is, it's changed to something else, something very, not feminine, but very, very beautiful to touch. Something like that. And like jewelry boxes are quite often used with flocking. So in this case here, these boxes, I kind of felt that they were kind of like jewelry boxes, something you put inside, very special. And so flocking seemed like the right thing to do. I wasn't going to come here today because today is the 4-year anniversary of my Sandy's death. So today is pretty special, and Valentine's Day has always been special in my life. And what amazes me after Sandy died, we have 2 bedside tables, and in her bedside table, I found love letters from me, from high school. And it was unbelievable to find those, because She didn't know, but I kept her love letters from high school also. And, those letters are so precious. Those words are so precious. I was so touched by them when I read them again. And I reread her letters. And so there aren't too many things that are precious in life for me. There are very few things: memories, photographs, and words. And I am now going to find a special box for those letters. Most people think I'm a painter, and I don't feel like I'm a painter. I feel like I'm something else. Like I think I love creating things. I love to play.
Yeah.
And when I'm given a challenge, I'm a sculpture major, but I love to play every day, and I still get excited every day when I go to the studio. I look forward to going. I don't look forward to leaving ever. And so I feel like I'm more of a creator of something.
Yes.
Anyways, I think that's good for me.
Ah.
And thank you for
Oh, you've got it?